We received questions from all 50 states, but our first question comes from Dave Maldo, right here in Orlando, Florida.
As a small business owner, one of the big obstacles I have in growing my business in today's economy is having the confidence and incentive to go out and hire new employees. I'm wondering what each one of our candidates would propose to do as president to help incent small businesses like mine to hire new employees and to confidently grow our business in this troublesome economic environment.
Governor Perry, I'll put that question to you.
Yes, sir. Well, Rick Scott's sitting right over there, and he and I compete every day with trying to get jobs into our states. And what we've done in the state of Texas over the course of the last decade is to lower that tax burden on the small businessmen and women, have a regulatory climate that is fair and predictable, and a sweeping tort reform that we passed in 2003 that told the personal injury trial lawyers, don't come to Texas because you're not going to be suing our doctors frivolously. That's the way you get the government off of the back of small businessmen and women, and that's the way you free up those small business entrepreneurs where they know that they can risk their capital and have a chance to have a return on investment. If it'll work in the state of Texas, it'll work in Washington, D.C., and that's exactly what I'm going to bring to Washington when I go there in in January of 2013.
Governor Perry, the thing we heard from most people who submitted questions is they wanted specifics, they wanted details. Most of the people on the stage, opponents, have a specific jobs plan on paper that people can read. Where's your jobs plan?
Well, you'll see a more extensive jobs plan, but the fact of the matter is you look at the state of Texas and see what we've done there from the standpoint of lowering that tax burden, the regulatory climate in the state of Texas. We've taken those types of regulations off of the throat of small business operators. People understand that the state of Texas, during the last decade, something special happened there. It was the #1 state for relocation for 5 years in a row, and we plan on keeping it that way, Rick.
Governor Romney, you have a specific plan. In recent days, actually, the top rising search of your name on Google actually dealt with people searching for specifics of that plan. But a Wall Street Journal editorial recently called your 59-point economic plan, quote, surprisingly timid and tactical considering our economic predicament. Specifically, the editorial board had a problem with you picking the $200,000 income threshold for eliminating interest, dividends, and capital gains taxes, writing that you are afraid of President Obama's, quote, class warfare rhetoric. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, let's go back and talk. Microphone on? Can we get the mic on? There we go. Let's go back and talk about the question that Dave asked, which is how to get small business a break. And President Obama has done everything wrong. I happen to believe that to create jobs, it helps to have had a job, and I have. And having had a job in small business and in big business, I know what you have to do is make America the most attractive place in the world for business. And that means our corporate tax rates, our employer tax rates have to be competitive. Small business pays at the highest rate. We need to get those rates down to globally competitive levels. Number 2, government and regulators have to be allies of business, not foes. Number 3, we've got to become energy secure in this country. Number 4, we have to have trade policies that work for us, not just for the other guys, and crack down on cheaters like China. And my list goes on in my 59 points. But finally, let me tell you this. I know there are some that say, look, we should lower taxes for the very highest income people. Other folks have different plans. My view is very simple. The people that have been hurt most by the president's economy, the Obama economy, has been the middle class. That's why I cut taxes for the middle class.
So, sir, what do you consider rich? Is $500,000 rich, $1 million rich? At what income does someone reach your definition of rich?
I don't try and define who's rich and who's not rich. I want everybody in America to be rich. I want people in this country to have opportunity. And I want everybody to have the kind of opportunities that we in this stage have had. I want people in America to recognize that the future will be brighter for their kids than it was for them. I know that the President's party wants to try and take from some people and give to the others. That isn't the way to lift America. The way to lift America is to give people opportunity and to let them enjoy the freedoms that have made us the envy of the world.
Governor, thank you very much. Occasionally through the debate, we'll ask the same questions we ask the candidates to you at home. The first one, what is your definition of rich? You can vote on that answer at youtube.com/Fox News. We'll bring some of those results throughout the show with Shannon Bream. Now to my colleague, Megyn Kelly.
Thanks, Brett. Congresswoman Bachmann, after the last debate, a young member of the California Tea Party said he didn't feel that he had had his question fully answered. And it's a question that received the most votes on Google and YouTube on the list as well. The answer to his question is a number. And the question was, quote, out of every dollar I earn, how much do you think that I deserve to keep?
And after the debate, I talked to that young man and I said, I wish I could have answered that question because I want to tell you what my answer is. I think you earned every dollar. You should get to keep every dollar that you earn. That's your money. That's not the government's money. That's the whole point. Barack Obama seems to think that when we earn money, it belongs to him. And we're lucky just to keep a little bit of it. I don't think that at all. I think when people make money, it's their money. Obviously, we have to give money back to the government so that we can run the government, but we have to have a completely different mindset, and that mindset is the American people are the genius of this economy. It certainly isn't government that's the genius, and that's the two views. President Obama has embraced a view of government-directed temporary fixes and gimmicks. They don't work. He's destroyed the economy. What does work is private solutions that are permanent in the private sector. That gives certainty. That will grow our economy.
Senator Santorum, next question is for you. As this map from Google depicts, 22 states in the U.S. are right-to-work states. In the other 28, if a business is a union shop, you have to join the union if you want to work there. Now, this next question is one of the top voted questions online, and it comes to us via YouTube from Yates Wilburn of Hilton Head, South Carolina.
With unemployment numbers remaining above 9%, union issues such as the National Labor Relations Board lawsuit against Boeing and several union battles in state legislatures across the country have become incredibly relevant to the national discussion. For all the candidates, would you support some form of a federal right-to-work law allowing all workers to choose whether or not to join a union?
That's for you, Senator Santorum.
I think the most important area that we have to focus in on when it comes to unions is public employee unions. That's the area of unionization that's growing the fastest, and it's costing us the most money. We've seen these battles on the state level where unions have really bankrupted states, from pension plans to here in the federal level, for example, 30 to 40% union employees make above their private sector equivalents. I do not believe that state, federal, or local workers, unions, should be involved in unions. And I would actually support a bill that says that we should not have public employee unions for the purposes of wages and benefits to be negotiated.
Gingrich, this next one's for you. You've criticized extending unemployment benefits, saying that you are, quote, opposed to giving people money for doing nothing. Benefits have already been extended to 99 weeks, and they are set to expire soon. If you were president today, would you extend unemployment benefits? And if not, how do you justify that to the millions of unemployed Americans who are looking in earnest and whose families are depending on those checks?
Well, what I've said is that I think unemployment compensation should be tied directly to a training program. And if you don't have a job and you need help, then in order for us to give you the help, you should sign up for a business-led training program so that that 99 weeks becomes an investment in human capital, giving us the best trained workforce in the world so you can get a job. But I believe it is fundamentally wrong to give people money for 99 weeks for doing nothing. That's why we had welfare reform. Frankly, the easiest thing for Congress to do if the President sends up a proposed extension is to allow all 50 states to experiment at the state level with developing a mandatory training component of unemployment compensation, so you'd have 50 parallel experiments and not pretend that Washington knows best or that Washington can solve the problem by itself. But I believe deeply people should not get money for doing nothing.
Now I turn to my colleague, Chris Wallace. Chris.
Brett, thank you. Good evening, candidates. Governor Huntsman, in Utah, you offered millions of dollars in tax credits to promote clean energy. In June, you said that as president, you would subsidize natural gas companies. How is that different from the Obama administration, which gave the solar panel company Solyndra $500 million in federal loan guarantees? And as we all know, that company ended up bankrupt, and we taxpayers ended up on the hook.
Chris, first of all, it's an honor to be here in Orlando, home of my wife, the greatest human being I've known in 28 years. We've learned some important lessons as this economy has spun out of control. We have some hard decisions to make, and we're not going to fix the problem. We're not going to be able to bring our people together in America until we fix the economy. I'm convinced that part of the divide that we're experiencing in the United States, which is unprecedented, it's unnatural, and it's un-American, is because we're divided economically. Too few jobs, too few opportunities. We have learned that subsidies don't work and that we can no longer afford them. I believe that we can move toward renewable energy, but we're going to have a bridge product. Everybody wants to draw from the sun and draw from the wind, and I'm here to tell you that eventually that will make sense, but today the economics don't work. We need something like natural gas. I put forward an energy independence program along with tax reform and regulatory reform. Just by drawing from natural gas, for example, you're looking at 500,000 to 1 million jobs over the next 5 years. It is ours, it's affordable, it has important national security implications, and we should begin the conversion process.
But just a 30-second follow-up, sir. In June, you told the New Hampshire union leader, as president, you would subsidize the natural gas industry.
I would be willing to begin an effort so long as there was a rapid phase-out. I do not like subsidies. I do not like long-term subsidies. But if there was some sort of way to get the ball rolling with a quick phase-out, I would be in favor of that.
Mr. Kane, I want to follow up on your 999 plan for economic growth. That's a 9%. Well, they seem to already know what it is, but for the few who don't, it's a 9% flat corporate tax, a 9% flat income tax, and a new 9% national sales tax. Now, conservatives usually say, repeal the income tax before you impose a new tax. Isn't there a danger with your 999 plan, with these 3 taxes, that some government down the road after President Kane is going to increase 3 forms of taxation on Americans?
No, there's no danger in that. And first, let me answer Dave's question with the 999 plan. Unfortunately, nobody up here answered this question. He wanted to know, as a small businessman, what are we going to do in order to help him as a small business person? I have walked in Dave's shoes. This economy is on life support. That's why my 999 plan is a bold solution. It starts with throw out the current tax code and pass the 9% business flat tax, the 9% personal income tax, and the 9% national sales tax. This is the most important part. It eliminates or replaces corporate income tax, personal income tax, capital gains tax, as well as the estate tax. Then it treats all businesses the same. And the people who are paying only payroll tax, 15.3, that 15.3 they don't have to pay. Now they only have to pay that 9%. And unlike Governor Romney's plan, my plan throws out the old one. He's still hooked to the current tax code. That dog won't hunt.
If your name is mentioned in an answer, you get 30 seconds to respond. Governor Romney.
That's fine. I put my plan out. I want to make it very clear that my intent is to help the people who've been most hurt by President Obama's economy. And the people who've been most hurt are the middle-income families of America. And that's why my plan says that if middle-income families want to save their money, anybody earning under $200,000, and not pay any taxes on interest, dividends, or capital gains. 0 tax on their savings. That's the plan I'm for, and I'll get that done in my first year. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, I want to show you the video that got the most votes of all the video questions submitted to YouTube, and this one comes, as you can see, from Brandy and Michael in Spencer, Indiana.
There's growing concern among Americans about the size and the scope of the federal government and its infringement upon state and individual rights.
If you're elected president, how do you plan to restore the 10th Amendment hold the federal government only to those enumerated powers in the Constitution and allow states to govern themselves.
Congressman, what's your answer for Brandy and Michael?